So in the next presentation, which is unfortunately a very long one, I'm sorry, but you need this information. We are going to talk about how your application should really look like. And Amul and I will alternate in these presentations, so we will present the different sections. So I will start with talking a bit about the layout and structure of the proposal, which is called Part A. This is the description of the proposal. The three main evaluation criteria, also we have this question, so the three main evaluation criteria is excellence, impact, and implementation. And these are the three main pillars of the application. Then you should also include your CV, description of the organization, if you have a global if relevant, also ethical issues, and the so-called letter of commitment if you apply for global fellowship. But we will come back to this. And at the end we have some tips and tricks for the proposal writing. So again, just to remind you, what you need to start is the work program and especially the guide for applicants. Basically, the application as such consists of two parts. We have Part A, which are the administrative forms, and this you fill in online. And we will talk about this briefly tomorrow. Part B is the project description, where you describe everything that we are going to talk about for the next hour or more. And as I said, all the information you receive today is also in this guide for applicants, and we have the templates, the structure of the proposal also on here. Now, what you can do, and I strongly recommend this. When you register for the call, you can download a template for Part B. And then automatically you have the right layout, the right structure of the proposal, so all the headings you need, and so on. So this is strongly recommended. If you have a resubmission, so you have submitted before and want to resubmit, be sure to use the new template, because often there are small but important differences. So be sure to use the current versions. Well, what you need to decide at the stage of registration is that well, you need this key code that I mentioned before, and then you need to decide which panel you will be looking for. So, which subteam, European or global, and which panels, so can we restart the integrations, and so on. This you need to know at the stage of registration. Everything else can be changed later on. So they ask for abstract and other information. These things can be changed later on. So don't be afraid to register in good time. So, also Part B has two different documents, B1 and B2. B1 includes these three main evaluation criteria and sections, excellence, impact, implementation. And these must, sorry, I was too fast for my slides. And the second part, so B2, is CV, description, organization, ethical aspects, and the letter of commitment. Now, the first part, B1, may not be more than 10 pages. So you see, it's not a very big application. You don't have to write very much with regard to the length, but it should contain a lot of information. So this is one of the challenges. You must be sure not to exceed the 10 pages. Your proposal will still be eligible, but the exceeding pages will not be evaluated. So be sure to stick to 10 pages. And for section B2, the CV can be up to 5 pages. The description of the participating organizations, you will have one table with an overview, and then for each organization, if you have more than one, so for global fellowship, or for describing the content posts, you have one per page or one table per organization. If you have any ethical aspects in your research, then you should describe this. No page limits in this regard. And the letter of commitment, if you apply for global fellowship, is normally just 1 page. There is no template for this, but 1 page is normally enough. For the global fellowship, it is essential to include this letter of commitment. If you don't, then your application will not be accepted.
How to get the letter of commitment?
You need to contact your supervisor at the outgoing post and ask this person or an authorized person to write it. But we will hear more about this later.
Only for the global.
Only for the global, yeah.
C'est la structure d'accueil, non? La structure d'accueil sur la lettre, la structure d'accueil, c'est ça?
الموجودة في الكتاب تشيك موجودة كده مش تخرج أو خبر يعطيك ليتر بتاع كوميونتي دي كتاب مطلوب في الكوميسيون أوروبية جوست يعمل
Alright. But this is just the overview, so you will get a lot more information. Okay, yes, and part B1 and B2 should be submitted as 2 different PDF documents. I mentioned the layout. The commission is quite strict on this, so you must not use a font size less than 11 points. It should be easy to read, like Arial or Times New Roman. You are allowed to use tables and charts, and these have to be at minimum 8, the font size 8. And the margins should be at least 1.5 centimeters. And in addition, you should include only literal references, can be font size 8. I'm always talking about minimum font size, okay? The biologist will be happy to read the larger, but probably you will need to use 11 because you need to write a lot of information. So input not only literature references and now other information. In the header of each page, you should write your proposal acronym, so the short name of your application, and the fellowship type, so EF, integration, and so on. And in the footer, you should number your application with part B, page X of Y. Now, these are boring details, but I have to mention them. If you download the template from the Funding and Tender portal, and we'll show you this tomorrow, then you automatically have this, okay? So please do that. Why is it so important to follow the template exactly? Each subheading that we are going to talk about now, because they are exactly in line with the evaluation criteria. I said we have the 3 main evaluation criteria: excellence, impact, quality, and efficiency of implementation. And then we have sub-criteria. You cannot read it here, it doesn't matter, I just want to show it like this. That are the evaluation criteria, and this is also the structure of the application. So that's why it's so important to stick to the structure. You may include additional subheadings if you wish to have an even finer structure, but don't skip anything. This is really important. Yeah. And we often get the question, what is the most important part? And the answer is always, every part is important. Because the competition is high. So even, you can see down here, we have a rating. 50% counted for excellence, 30 for impact, 20 for implementation. So yes, you can see approximately which is a large part, etc. But the truth is, if you are not good in all 3 sections, you will not have a chance. So don't even think that any part is not important. Because this is not the case. Okay. So now I will start with the excellence part, and then I will give the word to Mahmoud to talk about the impact. So now I will go through my slides about excellence, and if you have questions with regards to that part, we will take them at the end of my presentation now. Yes, so as I already mentioned, but I want to point it out again because it's such a specific for Marie Curie. It is about a research project, yes, but it is also about you. You have to show your potential, your achievements so far. It is about where this project will take you and what you plan to go in the future. So these are all parts of the proposal. And the challenge is also to provide all the information you are asked for in the table pages. This is not so easy, I have to admit this. I would also like to mention one document or a guideline issued by the European Commission. And these are the principles of the European Charter for Researchers and the Code of Conduct for the Recruitment of Researchers. Now this is nothing that you have to know by heart, but the Charter and Code is something like a quality stamp for the research organization, for the host organization. And if you click on this link later on, you can find a list of all organizations in whole Europe and partly also outside Europe, I think, who have signed this Charter and Code. And this can be good to mention in the application. Because in Marie Curie, they also aim to improve working conditions for researchers, to have fair salaries, fair working conditions. In some countries, this is something normal, that they have very good conditions, but not in every country. So this is something that the Commission is aiming for. And they also want the researchers, the fellows who are funded by Marie Curie to have a good position, a good work, a good life. A good support by the supervisor and the host, and this is why it can be helpful to mention this Charter and Code, that the host organization is committed to follow these guidelines. Now, the excellence part is divided into 4 sections. I will not go through each and every point, because when you start working on your application, you will see all these things. I will point out the most important things. So, in point 1.1, it's about the quality and credibility of the research innovation project. So you need to describe the research that you have planned within the project. You should highlight also the novelty within the project. Of course, as in any other Horizon 2020 project, the Commission does not want to fund something that has already been done before. So also here you need to show what is new within this project. Okay? As I already mentioned in the introductory part, if you have any inter or multidisciplinary aspects in your research, then highlight this, point it out. And one important thing is that if your research is anyhow related to gender aspects, which is often the case within the medicine, for example, but also in the social sciences, if there may be specific issues for gender, then this should also be taken into account and explained how you will consider this, and if you are not planning to take this on board in your research project, then argue why you will not do this. So If you have sections or subsections in your application that are not relevant to you, then don't just leave it empty. Write a short statement, 1 or 2 sentences why you will not do this. Okay? Yeah, one part maybe. When you start describing the research activities you plan for, and you describe the methodology approach, then it may make sense to already at this stage divide your work into work packages. Is this a word that you are familiar with? Work package? So, very good. So, maybe it does not always make sense, but often it is more easy for evaluators to understand your research plans quickly if you have them divided in work packages. And as you will anyhow have to describe the work packages in more detail in section 3 in the implementation part, it is a good idea to already do it here. And then it's easy for the evaluators to see that when you describe your idea in this section, that you have exactly thought about how you will carry it out in detail in the implementation part. Now for each of the evaluation sub-criteria, the applicants get feedback from the evaluators later on. If you were successful or not, each applicant will get an evaluation summary report. What we did for each section is that we choose some comments from different evaluation summary reports from real projects, comments that are typical, that we often see. And also here, we are not going to read all of them, we will pick out a few examples, and you can take them later on. And this is exactly the wording from the evaluators. And this can be helpful to see what are they reacting on, how do they think when they evaluate. So for this section, to point out a few things, they said that the objectives of the project are clearly described and detailed. Now this may seem obvious to do this, but actually I read a lot of applications, and what I see quite often is that people first at a very late stage, so maybe at page 3 or 4 or 5, they express the objectives or describe the objectives in a very clear way. And as an evaluator, they read a lot of proposals. They want to have a very quick understanding what do you want to reach at the end. So try to describe, point out the objectives in a very, very clear way early in the proposal. And then you can take a step back and go more into detail. Okay? But highlight this early. And here, typical, the approach is so clear in the disciplinary and in the sectorial nature. Now, if you don't have these aspects, don't have that. You are welcome to submit anyhow, and you have the same chances. But if you have them in there, describe them in a clear way. And some negative comments. We had the state of the art and the methodology are poorly described, or the innovative aspects of the research are not convincingly demonstrated. They are mostly very polite in their formulations. So maybe here for the innovative aspects, they mean that, okay, this is nothing new, this has been made a lot of times before, we don't like to fund this. They formulate it like it is not convincingly demonstrated. Okay? So you see, it's also important to have a good idea. The 1.2, so this is sub-evaluation criteria 2 in the excellence part. Here you should describe the quality and appropriateness of the training and the two-way transfer of knowledge between the researcher and the host. So as I said, it's not only about research. Now, of course, what you learn in first place is new scientific skills. This is part of the training. Training on the job when carrying out your research activities, supported by the supervisor and maybe other people in the same group. Okay? So scientific training, but also, and we will come back to this, transferable training. Nowadays, as a researcher, you often need a lot of other skills and not just the scientific skills. Yes? Especially within Horizon 2020 projects, we hear a lot about communication, dissemination. And this is nothing that you are, well, some people are born with it, but some people maybe are not. So if you have some training in maybe in presentation skills, or if you have a very applied research, then maybe you need training about intellectual property rights, or in project management, for example. So also this kind of transferable or soft skills is something that you should describe. And I just mentioned a few typical skills now, but it makes sense if you take your time and think about, in my research area, and for that what I want to do in the future, what kind of skills will I need for a good position, in addition to my scientific skills. Okay? And these activities are also funded, so all these activities are funded. Okay? Yes, the two-way transfer of knowledge means that, of course, the most important thing is that you as a research fellow will learn. But you also have some knowledge and experiences already that you can bring to your new organization. And now we often get the question that, okay, if I'm a very early postdoc, I don't have so much knowledge and skills that I can do, but for sure at least one thing you do, and these are new international networking contacts. You are coming from an organization in Tunisia, maybe you have been somewhere else before, so when you move to your new host, you enlarge their international networking possibilities. And this is also one important thing. So in this way, it's a two-way transfer of knowledge. Of course, if you are a more experienced researcher, you will have more knowledge that you can bring. And the evaluators, they are well aware of course, that a very young person recently received a PhD cannot transfer as much knowledge as a more major, but this is taken into account. So it is not at all that someone who is more experienced have better chances. It's not like that. You have to show your potential. Okay? For the global fellowships, you need to explain these aspects for both phases, so for the outcome phase and for the income phase, which makes it a little bit more challenging to write a proposal for a global fellowship, because you don't have more pages and still you need to describe more things. And these typical training activities I already mentioned them, and of course also I would like to point out again the possibility for secondments here. So if you plan to include secondments in your IF, then you should also show why you want to do this secondment. Maybe it is because you have a, just bring in some examples. If it's a very interdisciplinary project, then maybe the mainmost organization does not have all the knowledge you need or the equipment you need. So you may have to go to somewhere else to do a part of the research. This is a very typical approach. Or maybe you want to learn a new thing and you know someone else who is better in this than you have organization, then this could also be the reason for the content. So it's nice to have comments in there, but it should make sense. Okay? Now, I said it's a lot about your career development. So you should mention in the application that you will set up a career development plan to together with the supervisor at the beginning of the project. If you have a global fellowship or if you plan secondments, then it is very nice if you do this together with your main supervisor and the co-supervisor. And also if you have in the sectoral aspects, so if you have a secondment at a small and medium enterprise, for example, you may have the co-supervisor from that organization, and then it is nice to include this non-academic aspects also in the career development. Okay? So you don't have to describe all these things in detail, but mention that you will set up a career development plan together with the supervisors. And no worries, you will get all slides. So some comments about this training and transfer of knowledge. So the training is well planned and of high quality and includes the conference and a number of courses held at the host institution. There are plans for additional training in transferable skills, including on-the-job training in communication, scientific writing, supervision, mentoring, and scientific management. Just to give a few examples. Okay? And some negative comments. The interdisciplinary aspects of the training activities are not addressed satisfactorily. So here the evaluators could see that there is potential for interdisciplinarity in the project, but they are not allowed to give scores for something that they think is in there. They are only allowed to give scores for what you have written in it. So don't think that everything is obvious. You have to describe it. All right. Yes, this is also a good example. The last one, the proposal does not sufficiently outline the expected complementarity of the outgoing and incoming host groups. So this is about a global fellowship. The transfer of previously acquired knowledge from the researcher to the host is insufficiently described. So for a global fellowship, the idea, why is the Commission funding this? Well, this is not because being nice and give you some time to spend with outside Europe. No. They want to strengthen Europe and the researchers in Europe, independent of the nationality. So they want you to go out there to for you, the best host organization in the third country, to learn a lot and bring it back to Europe and the associated countries. So for the global fellowship, this regional case is very important, especially to describe the transfer of knowledge, and then it is from you to the new host organization, to give your new knowledge to this organization and to the community at large in Europe. So do you understand that there is another idea with the global fellowship? Okay? Take your knowledge back to Europe. 1.3. I think I'm getting impatient. Okay, so 1.3, quality of the supervision and the integration in the team institution. So here we have one part of the answer on the question we had back there before. Here you need to describe the supervisor or supervisors, if you have two, and how you will be integrated in this new context. So, on one hand, what kind of scientific knowledge and experience does your supervisor have? So show that this is the right person to teach you or support you in this time. And also, what experience does this person have in supervising? So this is also good and important to show that it is an experienced supervisor. We also have information about the supervisor in section 5. In this description, the table of the host organization. Don't put the same, don't make it copy-paste. So try to balance this information. I will not go into details now, but when we read the guide, you will see it. And absolutely no go is to make copy-paste of the same text in the proposal. and I mentioned this, but it's important, so I will repeat. Mind to put only relevant information. So if your supervisor had 30 candidates, then choose the 5 of them that is most relevant to your research topic. The posting arrangements, this is about how you will be integrated in this research group. So what kind of measures will take place to assure this transfer of knowledge? Will you have regular meetings with the supervisor? Will you be included in the group, in the weekly seminars, for example? Are there international network activities that you will be integrating in? So show that they will not leave you alone in a small chamber doing all the work by yourself, but they will really include you so that you and also the group can have benefit as much as possible from each other. So in this section, you should not describe the infrastructure. The infrastructure is in the implementation section. So always be aware of in which section you are writing for now, because sometimes you will have the feeling that you need to duplicate information. It's partly true, but mostly you need to think about in which section are you right now and what kind of information are they really asking for. So here, not infrastructure, but how would you be integrated. And again, for global fellowships or growth phases. So some comments in this regard. The second one are the project's post-experience partner organization profile and the researcher's knowledge will complement well each other. And the host group provides an exceptional environment for international networking, as a few examples. Some negative comments. The plan inadequately describes the competences of the supervisor about the specific research content, or the application does not provide sufficient information on the past supervising experience of the main and co-supervisors. And now this 1.4 is the last part of the excellence section. And here you should describe the potential of the researcher to reach or reinforce professional maturity and independence during the fellowship. So this is a very important part because this is about you. And here you have the chance to describe what have you been doing so far that shows your excellence, that shows your potential to be one or become one of the best researchers. So explain the new competences and skills that will be acquired and how they relate to the researcher's existing professional experience. So this is during the fellowship. And of course, this should be in line with your CV. Things that you wrote here, right here, should be visible in the CV and vice versa. Okay? So we have the 3 main evaluation criteria, and then we have the sections 4 to 7 that are not evaluated as such, but they will be an intrinsic part of the evaluation criteria because they always reflect each other. Okay? And only one comment here. The scientific track record of the researcher does not sufficiently detail the experience in relevant research techniques to support the success of the action. So they think that maybe he does not or she does not have the competence to carry out the project.